Chapter 2, Section 6. We're going to learn about ratios, rates, and conversions. Now, what is a ratio, what's a rate, and what's a conversion? A ratio would be something like 4 to 6. That would be considered a ratio. In other words, the number of, we have 10 kids in the class, 4 of them are male, 6 of them are female, the ratio would be 4 to 6. A rate would be something on the order of how many miles per hour you're going. So if you're doing 55 miles per hour, or in other words, 55 miles over hours, that is called a rate. And you're obviously familiar with seeing miles per hour, so that's how we would look at miles per hour. All right? Now, a conversion would be is if we were going to take the number of feet, let's say we had 3 feet, and we wanted to know how many inches that was. Okay? Doing that would be a conversion. So we are now converting from feet to inches. So you know what ratios, rates, and conversions would be. We're going to be working on them in this section. So let's go ahead and get started, and so you can understand what we're going to do. First one I'm going to work on is going to be a ratio. Let's go ahead and we'll clear this whole thing. If I had a ratio that I'd say was 4 to 6, then my ratio in this case would be written like this, 4 over 6, or if we were going to reduce that, it would be reduced to it would be reduced to 2/3. 2/3. That would be our ratio. So if I said in this school, there is a ratio of 2 guys to every 3 girls, and I went into a room that I would expect, let's say for a grade, I would expect to see that there are 2 guys for every 3 girls for the school. All right, that would be a ratio. Another ratio might be if you took a look at a football team and you wanted to do the ratio of linemen to what I'm going to call specialty players, receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, those type of thing. Let's say my ratio would be 5 to 6. All right, 5 to 6, let's say, which means that my ratio would be like this, 5 to 6. And this is 5 specialty players to 6 linemen. All right, and if I had a setup like that, I consider it favorable, let's say. All right, these are ratios. This is how we determine ratios and how we can determine what the fraction would be to that. All right, next let's take a look at rates. Rates, obviously we looked at 55 miles per hour. And the way we can write 55 miles per hour is going to be 55 miles per hour. Okay? In other words, if we're driving a speed limit at 55 miles per hour, we should expect to go 55 miles in 1 hour. That's a rate. Now, our rates can be in other forms too. We can say that I'm getting paid $20 per hour. Okay. It means for every hour I work, I get paid $20. I can use another rate, let's say feet per second, okay, which matches up with miles per hour, but let's say if I'm going 200 feet per second, And this could be also written like this, and you might see it 200 feet per second. All right? It's the same term. The per in there, that P, per, means divided by. So this right here actually is feet per second. Okay? That's rates. When we can do rates, when we learn how to do rates, this is how rates are going to start to look at. Now you can go inches. There's a lot of different rates we can use. Any kind of unit that we can think of. You may go gallons per inch. That doesn't sound like a logical one, but it could be. There's a lot of different rates we can work with on that. Now the conversion side of this works like this. And this is really what we're getting to. We're looking at getting to be able to do conversions with maybe rates, whatever we might be looking at. We're going to think of conversions. There's 1 foot. For every 1 foot, there's 12 inches, right? For every 1 foot, there's 12 inches. For every 3 feet, there's 1 yard. All right? Now, can I switch those around? Yes, I can. I can say 12 inches for every 1 foot, and I can also say 1 yard for every 3 feet. Conversions can be flipped around and used any way that we want to make them work for what we're trying to do. So if we're doing a conversion, let's say I'm going 3 feet and I want to know how many inches this is. We have to do a conversion. Now, everybody should know a yardstick is 3 feet, right? If a yardstick is 3 feet, how many inches is in a yardstick? 36 inches. So really what we should come up with right here is 36 inches if we can get the right conversion. Let's take a look how we do that. Well, first we're going to look back at all our different conversions, right? We know that for every foot there's 12 inches. So for every foot there's 12 inches. I'm going, and this is going to be the trick, this is something you're going to have to learn. I'm going from feet to inches. If I want to go, whatever I'm going to, my inches here, is the conversion that I want on top. So am I going to go foot to inches, or am I going to go inches to foot on my conversion? Well, if inches is what I want to go to, then I'm going to put inches on top. I'm going to go 3 feet times, I'm going to multiply my conversion by this now. I've got 12 inches to 1 foot. Remember, inches is what we want to go to. So this is the one that we want to use for our conversion right here. So let's put 12 inches for every 1 foot. Now I want to show you what happens here. If you notice, really this 3 feet is really 3 over 1, right? We can write it that way. What we can do now is we have feet in the denominator and feet in the numerator. We can cross those out. What are we left with for a unit? Inches. We're left with inches. That's what we want. We want inches here, right? That's what we wanted up here. Now all we have to do is multiply and divide. 3 times 12 is 36. 1 times 1 is 1. So this really equals 36 inches. We've just done a conversion. All right? We've converted feet to inches. I hope that this helps you understand what we need to do. All right, let's do one more. Let's go ahead and clear this. Let's do one more. Let's say let's use a big conversion, right? Let's say we know that there's, for every 1 mile, there are 5,280 feet. All right? Now, I want to know how many feet. I'm going to give you the miles, but I want to know how many feet are in the number of miles. Okay, now remember what I said before. What are we going to? We're going from miles to feet. If we're going from miles to feet, then the feet have to be on top. So we have to do it this way, feet to miles. Right? So we take a look at our conversion. We know for every 1 mile, there's 5,280 feet. So our conversion here is, let's say we have 4 miles. How many feet would I have? Well, let's write out our conversion. 4 miles times 5,280 feet over 1 mile. We put feet on top because that's what we want to end up getting. We want feet here. All right? Our miles cancel out. All we're left with is feet for our unit, and we multiply. And this comes out to 21,000. Let's see, 120. If I'm correct, I did that in my head. Hopefully I'm correct, but that's feet. This is how many feet are in 4 miles. 21,120, if I did the calculation correct. So that's my conversion. That's how we can do conversion. We can do it with liquids, gallons, pints. We can do it with solids and mass, grams or pounds. As long as we know what the conversion is, we can do a conversion from one unit to another. Okay, as long as we have that conversion. The trick is going to be making sure that you know the conversions, because once you know these conversions, everything else is just child's play. You'll get it real quick.